Hi, everyone. This is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. So today is December 27th, 2021, and we're making a video to talk a little bit about the Cardano DeFi ecosystem. So if you live in Silicon Valley, you're an Ethereum fan, or you're an internet troll, a lot of those people floating around say, well, there's no DeFi ecosystem on Cardano. It's all lies. What are you talking about? Well, it's actually the opposite. There's a huge DeFi ecosystem that's starting to present itself. And I made this video real quickly to kind of show you guys a few things that are on the horizon and let you know of some things that we're planning. Okay, so first, there's an ecosystem map here, and Cardano Cube created this, but other people have done this as well. And this is just an example of all the stuff that's under construction right now on Cardano or already deployed on Cardano. From meme coins to stable coins like AgeUSD and JED and Oracle Solutions, Identity Solutions, payments, community stuff, marketplaces, lending and borrowing, wallets, infrastructure, DeFi, DEX liquidity like Sunday and Meow and ADAX and Muesli and so forth. And then a lot of NFTs. NFTs because we've had NFT capabilities since May of this year. So obviously that's the most evolved, but you see things are starting to really come together. And in particular, there was a nice little Medium post saying introducing the Cardano DeFi Alliance. It says the Cardano DeFi Alliance was founded by a group of DeFi developers, infrastructure providers, Plutus software development organizations. At the core of this new alliance is the desire to communicate, educate, and innovate. Through these fundamentals, the CDA plans to leverage the Cardano blockchain strengths to create a robust and dynamic ecosystem, setting an industry standard for all DeFi to emulate. The primary mission of the CDA is to provide collaboration among leading DeFi protocols, provide open source libraries, craft best practices, and innovate within the Cardano DeFi ecosystem. The mission will be pursued through both a public-facing component and an internal component. The public-facing component will consist of clear and transparent communications with the Colorado DeFi community, creating open source protocol, open source development libraries, documentation, providing support to DeFi protocols. The internal component will consist of leveraging developer and entrepreneurs' knowledge to spur innovation, contributing to strategic plans and visions, and providing support to Input Output Global through collaboration on key issues. The CDA provides an equal opportunity space to share information, opinions, issues, solutions, and insight. We believe that all members and all opinions and discussions hold value and deserve to be heard. Members are committed to participating in the CDA with the spirit of openness, collaboration, and cooperative competitiveness, meaning that communication between members should not be utilized to disrupt, interfere, and or create conflict in projects that potentially may compete. The ability to connect through clear, honest, and collaborative communications is essential to the viability of the CDA. Membership in the CDA is open to any and all Cardano DeFi projects. New and innovative DeFi projects are strongly encouraged to join the CDA. No voice should go unheard, and in collaboration, all voices grow stronger. Potential members will undergo an interview process to assess the appropriateness for inclusion in the CDA. The process will develop and evolve over time, just as the CDA will. And you'll notice that they have a website, Cardano DeFi Alliance. And here it is, and it shows some of the founding members from MinSwap, Sunday Swap, MLabs, Ardana, Charlie, and Giro Wallet, and Optum, and Liquid. I'm going to attend a meeting with CDA next year. So in particular, I'm very interested in the SIPs. You see, this is the Cardano SIP repo, and there's already 30 of them. And these are improvement proposals, some already adopted, some in discussion. And there's a lot of discussion right now about improving Plutus and making Plutus viable as a development ecosystem. So the next 6 months are really about the burn-in. There's over 127 projects that I'm aware of that intend to or are actively building on Cardano. And it looks like we're going to have DEXs imminently, like in the next few weeks, launching on Cardano in some capacity on the mainnet. They're already on the test net. There are already some on the mainnet, and there's just a lot of competition there. Also, Cody has been making phenomenal progress on JED. There's Oracle progress. There's a litany of things that are being worked on and actively coded to be deployed and commercialized on Cardano. So the next 90 days, Q1 of 2022 is going to be a very busy time. And we're going to see a lot of stuff come out. And we're going to see one hard fork combinator event tentatively scheduled for February that'll introduce some Plutus enhancements and other things for the project. The next hard fork combinator event is in June, and that's going to bring in a lot of the Plutus improvements that people like the CDA recommend and what we've learned from working with Plutus developers. So that window from January to June is an essential window for the commercialization of Cardano, the utilization, the utility of Cardano, and also for major projects to move forward, like light wallets and so forth. And those experiences with light wallets to have dApp stores and these types of things. So it's a very collaborative process. There's tons of people in the community, and some people are building bespoke infrastructure. Other people are using the Plutus application backend and following it along. Some people are building very heavy Cardano applications. Some people are just integrating Cardano support into existing applications. In addition to that, Milkamedia is operational and doing stuff. And so there's Ethereum interoperability, and that's going to move its way more and more and more over time into the main net. So a lot of apps will move in that direction, and we will see the test net for the EVM and Yella sidechains activated in that first half. And if people will begin deploying and building there to be turned on and integrated in the mainnet in the second half of the year. So somewhere in that time horizon next year, Mithril and Hydra as well as pipelining and input endorsers. So those things combine together and they create a very vibrant ecosystem. You start seeing community groups forming like the CDA and groups for stake pools and other such things. And obviously the Micro Summit idea where we're going to bring each of these categories together, like the DEX category, the Oracle category, et cetera, and they can talk about best practices and standards. And you start getting that idea that every 4 months there's a series of upgrades and updates happening to ledger rules, to Plutus itself, to the ecosystem to enable more capabilities. So like all things, it starts a little slow, but now look at where we're at. May is when people had the ability to issue an asset, and now there's 2 million assets issued on Cardano. There's probably going to be 10 times as many by the end of next year because of the NFT revolution. But the fact is that a lot of these are now going to become DeFi tokens. Okay. And we've seen a lot of innovation with Catalyst, with the ISPO model and other models about getting resources to these people. Now, from on our side, we care a lot about that acronym ACIDIC. That stands for Developer Acquisition, Developer Collaboration, Developer Incentives, Application Deployment, Application Deployment. IC is Curation is the C part, and I forget the I for the moment. Just having a brain fart. But anyway, ACIDIC is the acronym that matters, and I will come to me in a moment. And we have people in each of those letters working carefully and closely to make sure that those things get done. Anyway, the real ecosystem takes time, as you know, but there's a lot of strength here. 2 million people in Cardano. As I said, 120 some applications already in flight, and Plutus is only really 4 months old on the mainnet. And a humongous amount of collaboration development, a lot of community initiatives and proper funding in the community. So we're seeing that. Now, from our side, we're going to invest in things like, for example, on the collaboration and acquisition side, continuing the Plutus Pioneers program. My goal is to get it to every 2 months, there's a cohort starting. The cohorts we did were a few thousand people. So there are about 3,000 people who were trained. And those courses will only improve in terms of their content, in terms of the capabilities, the tooling. It was very rough this year because the tools were very primitive. Next year, the tools will be quite mature because so many people are using them and the experiences are rapidly evolving. So that's going to obviously, improve. And obviously those cohorts will be easier and easier to do. We have a Discord, and I think there's about 10,000 people in it. The focus is specifically on developer questions and developer communication. In addition to that, there's the Cardano Stack Exchange. Dedicated people are assigned to that. And there's going to be tons of questions that come through about Cardano, how to use Cardano, the extended UTXO model, Plutus, as well as the sidechain questions that come up. How do you wire apps together that are written EVM or other paradigms and have them talk to the native assets on the main chain? So all of that is in flight, and that's a high priority. Now, many of you asked about mastering Cardano, and we had an author in line. Unfortunately, he's quite ill, and he's had to bow out of that project. So we haven't made as much progress this year as we wanted to. So we're going to find a new author for that book and assign some more people to it to accelerate it so that we can publish Mastering Cardano in 2022 as kind of a capstone text, similar to what Mastering Bitcoin or Mastering Ethereum were for those ecosystems to help developers along. In addition to that, lots of tutorials, lots of videos. Some of you are already funded through Catalyst to produce content for the Cardano ecosystem. And as those funds continue, funds 7, 8, 9, 10, etc., we anticipate seeing a lot of people entering on the pedagogy of Cardano because there's a lot to talk about, a lot to explain. And there's obviously a significant deficits in the marketplace for people's understanding, especially VCs and especially people who are crypto experts. It's a bit frustrating to be this far along and have an incredibly healthy, incredibly vibrant ecosystem and to see so much, frankly, disrespectful FUD. It's an indication of the quality of journalism in this space. It's also an indication that the people who purport to be experts don't seem to have the capacity for due diligence, and they don't seem to have the capacity for communication. It's not like we're sitting in an ivory tower up on the mountaintop, completely inaccessible, unwilling to answer questions. The reality is, every single day, somebody in the Cardano ecosystem produces great content, and every single person who's part of the core project is willing to talk, wants to share, wants to communicate. You wouldn't believe how many reports are published where we're not even consulted or asked. We'd be happy to provide KPIs. We'd be happy to provide usage statistics and data. We'd be happy to go into incredible detail, comparing and contrasting the count-based model, extended UTXO, talking a bit about our interoperability model, nuances of things like what Mithril is going to do for the ecosystem or how Hydra works and how far along Hydra is relative to its peers. How you can integrate rollups and these types of things into our ecosystem and how certain members are coming to do that. We're happy to have these conversations. Yet the mainstream crypto media seems to be unwilling or unable to engage and interface with us, and they just make stuff up, which is sad, but paradoxically seems to actually have not harmed any of our progress. We're here, we're making phenomenal progress. The ecosystem is growing at leaps and bounds, and we're really getting things done. And we're really enjoying the fact that the ecosystem is at a point where we're going to see explosive growth through the level 2, through the level 3, through the dApp ecosystem, and through real use and utility behind Cardano. From our part at IOG, we keep saying, hey, back in 2014, I gave a TED Talk where I outlined how transformative this technology can be for Africa and some of the poorest places in the world that are in desperate need of economic identity and access to global markets with a fair playing field. And we now finally get to see those seeds grow and sprout up into mighty trees next year, where those spigots are going to be turned on. And there's going to be a lot of great RealFi all throughout Africa and many other places. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, and it's nearly a decade quest that I've been on. And we had to go and build this gargantuan ecosystem together to have a shot at actually trying that out. From your end, many of you are tired of the incredible cost, the lack of clarity, and the low production quality of applications in the DeFi space. Over $10.5 billion of hacks, design flaws, scams, and outright theft that have occurred just this year in the DeFi space, mostly in the Ethereum space or its progeny. We can do better as an industry. And the point of Cardano is we have a platform to do that. We are talking actively about certification, standards, even in discussions about construction of a standards body that's a public-private partnership that will bring many people together to create standards for DeFi so that these hacks stop, so that these poor quality applications are weeded out and consumer preferences can flow towards things that are built correctly as opposed to with haste in the hope of capturing a little bit of value for the creators at the expense of the users. So many of you are in the ecosystem because you're looking for a different platform. Many of you are in the ecosystem because you really want to bet on something that has true scale behind it. We focused with the protocol design of Cardano on something that's going to be around in 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And that's what Ouroboros provides. And once things like pipelining and input endorsers come in, the project will be able to keep on par with what the expectations of the third generation cryptocurrencies are. And with Hydra and sidechains and other technologies, be able to scale to the millions and billions of users, which will come in the following decades. So we did the science. We did the simulations. We know how to write the code. We know how to upgrade the code. And we have a very graceful upgrade path that will be done HFC event by HFC event, and in many cases doesn't even require HFC events. And we understand how to preserve the security we've come to know and trust and love with Cardano. Many of these other projects, they have a hope and a prayer. And that's what we're going to be showing in 2022. It's very hard to do this kind of engineering. And it's very hard to do this kind of engineering right and with an eye and foresight for the future. And unfortunately, many of the projects in this space will not stand the test of time. Just a fact and a reality as we see a great extinction occur in the next 5 to 10 years. The reason you do things right is so that you can be around for that extinction event. It's a survival of the fittest at the end of the day. And I think we have the right balance of features and functionality. And we thought about how to achieve scale, how to be interoperable, how to be sustainable. And we have a great community. The formation of the Cardano DeFi Alliance is an example of that. So it just shows you the power of the community wanting to make things better. It's not just top down, it's bottom up, and in many cases, exclusively bottom up. And that's how you're around in 5 years and 10 years. And the fact that we built into the system itself the capacity for self-evolution, recursive growth, is exactly why I feel so strongly in the stability, strength, and durability of the ecosystem as a whole. So next year is going to be a challenging one because there's so much to do. Instead of just one major update, Goguen this year, last year Shelley, it's Basho and Voltaire next year, in addition to all the Goguen enhancements and the Shelley enhancements to come. A lot of new features and functionality, voting centers and Mithril and Light Wallet capabilities that really are best in class. A lot of new DeFi protocols are coming online, new exciting things like JED, which will probably be a best-in-class stablecoin. Tighter integration of Prism into the system so that we can future-proof it, contingent staking, dozens of things, if not hundreds. And there are more developers working today on Cardano than ever in the history of the project, both on the core infrastructure and in the DeFi ecosystem. That's only going to continue to grow. But the most challenging and the most exciting opportunity is the transition from the original custodial entities to a full-formed, completely inclusive open source project. I mentioned this in my prior video, but it's a big challenge. Linux has really shown the way in many respects for 800 plus companies, 800 plus developers and 100 plus companies, to directly work on the Linux kernel. And they've been around for decades, and it's transformed the entire world of computing. My phone runs it. Probably this microphone and the headset has something to do with it. Pretty much everywhere you look, there's something related to the DNA of that project somewhere, somehow. And it has really made all of our lives better. And it is a true open source project. It's escaped its founders, and it allows companies that are incredibly competitive with each other, like Apple and Samsung and Microsoft, to find some common ground and common utility in infrastructure. And we can achieve the same in the cryptocurrency space. I'm really tired of the divisions. I'm really tired of the tribalism. I'm really tired of the maximalism. I'm really tired of this immature attitude that every single thing that isn't me and my preferences is evil, scam, wrong, immoral, and dishonest. Reasonable people can disagree without being disagreeable. And if you build a proper open source project, you elevate above the egos and personalities and daily fights to common goals and notions that are ubiquitous across the industry. So the definition of success isn't good custodianship of Cardano. The more than dozen entities currently working on Cardano at the core level have already demonstrated that. The definition of success is the ability to grow that set to include hundreds more and also work well across the entire industry. The work we do, for example, with NEPA POWs is more useful to Bitcoin than it is to Cardano. There is no reason why there can't be collaboration with the Bitcoin core developers. The work we do with smart contract certification is as useful to Ethereum, given that Cardano has Ethereum smart contract support, and that'll continue to grow, as it is to Plutus. So there's no reason we couldn't collaborate with Consensus and other organizations that are involved in that ecosystem that have as much incentive as we do for the correctness of their smart contracts, especially for government enterprise clients. This is a call in that respect. Burden is on us as an ecosystem to be inclusive and friendly and open and to learn to listen well. And the burden is on the industry to grow up and mature and to not respond to things based upon factionalism and instead ask what is best for all of us. So that is going to be the great challenge of 2022. The technology is self-evident. We know how to do the things that are on the roadmap. We wrote the papers, we did the science, we did the engineering, we understand how to build it, and there's a degree of inevitability to it. I don't worry about it. It doesn't keep me up at night. There are delays every now and then and unexpected headwinds, but that's what every software project encounters, and we have had more than our fair share. The level of resilience we've had in the face of such a difficult roadmap is another indication of the quality of Cardano. Many projects would have just simply given up. Despite the fact that we've had to deal with all of these things, we never did. We kept pushing. We kept fighting. We kept the grind every single day. Hard days when the markets were in free fall and 2.5 cent ADA, and there seemed to be hopelessness everywhere. And good days. They were all the same. We took them exactly the same, with steadfast determinism and a systematic methodology to keep pushing forward. We never gave up. That's our mentality. That's who we are as a project. So we aren't afraid of hard work, and we're not afraid of all of that technology. The harder thing to do is to get along with those we haven't historically got along with. The harder thing to do is to work across the aisles, to work across the projects, within the legacy system, within our competitors, in many cases, who delegitimize us every single day and say we're worthless. We don't know what we're talking about. It's all a lie. It's all a scam. We're a cult. People say pretty horrible things in this space, things that in many cases in any other industry would be considered to be unforgivable, slander, libel. They write books filled with lies. They do blogs and podcasts again and again and again, demeaning and dehumanizing, not even using common sense about the things that they say and publish and repeat, not thinking about how incredibly hurtful, disrespectful, and frankly, just outside of the range of basic human decency. And despite all of that, we as a project have to find the courage to forgive and forget and offer a helping hand and work together, because honestly, that's the only way we're going to get to billions of people. That's the only way we're going to change the world. We cannot hold the immaturity, lack of grace, tastelessness, and stupidity of the people who mock us against them. You just have to grow up together and offer a helping hand where we can and will, and find common ground. And little by little, I think over time, we can become more harmonious as an ecosystem. Little by little, I think we can become greater as an ecosystem and have some love for each other finally. If we can achieve that, then we can achieve anything, because we're not, as an industry, going to lose on creativity. We're not going to lose on ideas. We're not going to lose on any capability. We can literally do anything. We have found the financial stem cell. We are the weavers of the genetics of finance now, and the destiny of humanity's financial operating system for the 21st century. And with that power, we can now go to higher order conversations about consent, identity, governance, all kinds of things. We can rewrite society together. We have the means and the capability, and we've dragged together a team of people as an industry who collectively have the knowledge and the skills to bring humanity to the next level and allow us to finally have hope and optimism. The only thing that holds us back is not an evil new world order. It's not the cynicism of legacy governments that are run by people who should long be retired. It's us, this industry. This is ours to lose. If we fight each other, if we attack each other, demean each other, ignore each other, criticize each other in unfair ways, all we're doing is hurting our ability to be able to steer the dialogue and the capabilities of what we've created towards productive ends. And ultimately, more mature adults will co-opt those means and those capabilities and steer it in a direction no one in the entire world wants to see, where the few continue to enjoy so much at the expense of the many. So 2022 is going to be a watershed moment. It's going to be a big year for us, for our industry, and for all the things that we seek to do. It's going to be a year as defined by your labors, if not more so than mine, for the Cardano ecosystem. 127 apps already under construction. So many more on the way. And we all have to grow up. We all have to be more mindful. And we all have to be a little better. And we all have to be a little kinder if we hope to get out of 2022 a better year than when we found it. So I wish you all a good new year. Happy New Year. Good day. And I can't wait to see you on the other side. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be great.